shadowed corners of ancient myth, where grief twists into horror and beauty conceals danger, there lives the figure of Lamia. She is remembered as a monster, but she began as a queen. In early Greek mythology, Lamia was said to be a stunningly beautiful ruler of Libya, the daughter of King Belus. Her beauty was legendary, radiant enough to capture the attention of the king of the gods himself, Zeus. As with many of Zeus's affairs, desire led not to romance, but to catastrophe. When Hera, queen of the gods and wife of Zeus, discovered the relationship, her vengeance did not fall upon her husband. It fell upon Lamia. In the most widely told version of the myth, Hera murdered Lamia's children. In some darker variations, she drove Lamia into madness and forced her to kill them herself. The result was the same. A mother left childless, a queen left broken. Grief consumed Lamia, but in Greek myth, extreme emotion rarely remains contained within the human form. Her sorrow warped her mind. Her anguish twisted her body. She transformed. Once beautiful, Lamia became a monstrous being, often described as serpentine from the waist down. Her lower half coiled like a snake. Her face retained traces of its former beauty, but it was now haunted, hollowed by loss. Yet Hera's cruelty did not end there. To ensure Lamia would never know peace, Hera cursed her with sleeplessness. She could not close her eyes. She could not escape the vision of her murdered children. Every moment was a waking nightmare. In a rare gesture of pity, Zeus granted her a strange and unsettling gift, the ability to remove her own eyes and place them in a jar. Only in blindness could she rest. Only by physically removing sight could she silence memory. It is an image both grotesque and tragic, a mother who must pluck out her own eyes to escape grief. But grief did not remain passive. It turned outward. Unable to reclaim her own children, Lamia became obsessed with the children of others. In her madness, she began stealing and devouring them. Over time, her name no longer referred only to a single tragic queen. It became a category, the Lamiae. In ancient Greek households, mothers would whisper her name to frighten disobedient children. "Behave," they would warn, "or Lamia will come." She became the ancient world's boogie woman, a shadow lurking beyond the lamplight, driven by hunger and envy. As centuries passed and Greek culture merged into Roman and later European traditions, Lamia evolved again. No longer merely a child-devouring specter, she became something more seductive and more dangerous. In Roman and medieval imagination, Lamiae were often depicted as beautiful women from the waist up, but scaled or serpentine below. They lured young men with charm and grace. They offered love, comfort, intimacy, but the embrace was fatal. The seduced traveler would be drawn into her hidden dwelling, only to be consumed, flesh and blood taken by the very beauty that attracted him. In this later form, Lamia helped shape the archetype of the vampiric seductress, a creature who feeds not only on blood, but on desire. Yet Lamia's presence did not remain confined to myth alone. One of the most famous historical encounters appears in the 3rd century AD, recorded by the writer Philostratus in his biography of Apollonius of Tyana. According to the account, a young man named Menippus fell deeply in love with a mysterious and wealthy woman in Corinth. She was beautiful, refined, and generous. Preparations for their wedding were lavish. But during the feast, Apollonius fixed his gaze upon the bride and declared her true nature. She was a Lamia. He claimed she was fattening Menippus like livestock, preparing to devour him once the ceremony was complete. As he spoke, the luxurious surroundings reportedly dissolved into illusion. The gold vanished, The servants disappeared. Confronted, the bride confessed she was indeed a monster who fed upon young men. Whether this was meant as moral allegory or supernatural warning, the message was clear: appearances deceive. Centuries later, the Romantic poet John Keats revisited her legend in his 1819 poem Lamia. But Keats reshaped her yet again. In his telling, Lamia truly falls in love with a mortal man. She is no longer purely predatory. Instead, she becomes a tragic figure, destroyed by cold rationality. The philosopher Apollonius exposes her, and in doing so, shatters both illusion and love. Keats's Lamia is not just a monster. She is a being caught between passion and reason, imagination and logic. The shark family Lamnidae, which includes the great white, draws its title from Lamia, a nod to the ancient association with predatory hunger. Across myth, literature, and language, Lamia survives. Why? Because she embodies something profoundly human. She represents the fear that unbearable grief can transform a victim into a predator. That love, when twisted by loss, can curdle into envy. That beauty may conceal destruction. Psychologically, she reflects what some call the devouring mother archetype, the idea that nurturing power, when corrupted, becomes consuming and destructive. But at her core, Lamia is a warning about unchecked sorrow. She began as a woman betrayed by a god and punished by a goddess. Her monstrosity was not born from evil, but from suffering. And that may be what makes her endure. Because Lamia forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth: that beneath the mask of the monster may lie a wound so deep it reshaped the soul itself. In the end, Lamia is not merely the creature in the dark. She is grief without rest, loss without healing, love turned into hunger. And in that transformation, from queen to nightmare, she remains one of mythology's most haunting reflections of what pain can become.